Hi everyone, welcome to our Consumer Healthcare Training Academy webinar series 2022 and beyond. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so glad you are here with us from different parts of the world. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Today's topic is mental wellness, a new global report. Since last year, we have been living with restrictions and uncertainties. Our collective mental health has taken a beating. Mental wellness is gaining a lot of attention around the world, as stress, depression, anxiety, sadness, and loneliness are no longer taboo subjects. And today we will learn about what mental wellness is. Is it the same as mental health? What are some strategies to improve mental wellness? Which industry and business segments belong to mental wellness, and how big is the market? We are so excited to have a research expert from the Global Wellness Institute with us today to be sharing the latest reports on mental wellness. Before diving in today, I would very much like to encourage you to think about these 4 questions while listening to our presentation and discussion. What excites you? What concerns you? What would you like to know more about? What ideas come to you while listening? And please feel free to pop your questions, ideas, and thoughts in our chat box. Our speaker and moderators will answer your questions toward the end of our session. First, let me introduce you to our speaker of the day, Ophelia Yeung, a senior research fellow at the Global Wellness Institute. She is an experienced economist, a dedicated researcher with over 20 years of experience leading research and consulting assignments for business, government, universities, and nonprofit organizations around the world, including over 20 years at SRI International and as a co-director for the Center for Science, Technology, and Economic Development. Joining our sessions are 2 moderators from the Consumer Healthcare Training Academy, Dave McCaughan and Steve Sowerby. Dave is our Senior Consumer Healthcare Training Academy consultant and trainer. He is an excellent storyteller with over 30 years of experience in marketing and advertising as a strategy planner and market researcher. His passion is observing how people react to things around them and try to understand how the change affects people, their lifestyle, and business. And that is why he is such an expert in consumer insight development. He is one of the most sought after speakers, facilitators, and researchers. Last but not least, Steve Sowerby, the founder of Exponential and a co-founder of the Consumer Healthcare Training Academy. Steve has a strong background in consumer healthcare in different cultures. He was a senior executive for Reckitt Benckiser and 3M Healthcare. Steve has managed divisions and run companies in Italy, Spain, France, Central Europe, Eastern Europe, Thailand, Singapore, and East Asia, with his belief that people are the most important resource in the organization. Over the past 15 years, he has been invited to speak and train companies around the world in both healthcare and non-healthcare industry. Without further ado, everyone, please help me welcome Ophelia, Dave, and Steve.
Thank you very much, Aim, and welcome to everybody. A special welcome to Ophelia for joining us. Pretty interesting topic today, given the times. I've known Ophelia for, I guess, coming on for 10 years as we've sort of crossed paths speaking at Wellness Institute conferences and wellness summits, which we'll explain. But what was interesting was towards the end of 2019, we were both in Singapore at the Global Wellness Summit, presenting on a lot of things. And Ophelia, in her role with the Institute, was talking about some of their most recent research, but then it was announced that in 2020, they would be doing the first real global study to understand the size and the place of global mental wellness in the wellness industry. Now, of course, we didn't know in November 2019 perhaps how important that would become, because I guess of all the issues related around wellness and the different activities that wellness involves, maybe mental wellness was the one that was pushed to the greatest forefront in the past year. I'm sure before we started this recording, we were all talking about the different exercise things that we do to sort of try to stay physically fit, etc. But, 18 months ago, I don't think we actually had discussions about what mental wellness things we did. And the need to have mental wellness in the face of working from home, self-isolation, being cut off from family, not being able to travel, and all those other things. And so it's really, really timely that this report came out.
Yeah.
And we're lucky because the actual report was only really released to the public about 2 weeks ago. So this is one of the first chances Ophelia's had to talk to an audience about a really interesting study that she will explain how you can actually get access to it if you haven't already. So welcome, Ophelia. We're going to do this in the normal manner in which Steve and I will constantly interrupt you and interject as you go through some of the findings and some of the details of the study. But we've warned Ophelia not to be worried about the fact that I might do this, or I might just say, "Hey, wait a minute,"
Be very gentle.
Or I'll say, "Let me finish."
Yeah,
exactly. Now, can I say big welcome from my side as well, Ophelia? I'm really excited about this because, for many years, we've known that mental wellness and physical wellness are so connected. You can't separate them in many ways. And yet in the consumer healthcare industry, what we've very much done when we communicate to our communities and our consumers, our customers, our doctors, we talk very much about the physical benefits, and we look at the physical solutions, the pills, the potions, the lotions that we're selling for different conditions. We hardly ever think about how can we support the mental wellness of this individual as well, and how can we help them to get better faster or to stay better longer by having an approach which is not only physical but also mental. And what's really exciting, excuse me, is that finally we've got some numbers behind it, because I think that's also what's been stopping people. Because if it remains a concept that's a little bit ill-defined and maybe around opinions and experiences, it's not taken very seriously. But now we have a chance to really take this area seriously. So really great to have you on board.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Right.
So let me now share my screen.
Yes, that would be great.
PowerPoint.
There it comes.
See it? Okay.
Absolutely
so,
lovely.
Just a little bit of background. I came into the wellness industry by accident. As Aim and Dave introduced me, I'm an economist by background, and I did a lot of industry strategy and economic development work. So I came into this by accident, and before wellness was considered an industry. And so it started off back in 2008 when my team at SRI was approached by the Global Spa Summit at the time. And that event later turned into Global Wellness Summit, but it was the Global Spa Summit. And they approached our company and asked us to quantify and define what is the global spa industry, because nobody actually agree with what is a spa. So, without an agreement of what it is, you can't really say how big the industry is. So that work in 2008 continue to expand since then to the whole wellness industry. By 2014, we were looking at the whole global wellness industry under the auspices of the Global Wellness Institute, which is a nonprofit that was spun out by the Global Spa Summit to host research activities and all kinds of nonprofit initiatives that are started by this industry event. So if you look back just 10 years, I'll show you this little bubble chart. No one talked about wellness as an industry. So there's no such term as the wellness industry, as the way we talk about the healthcare industry or pharmaceutical industry or the auto industry. And so in 2014, we were asked to do a very pioneering kind of work. And when we were asked by the Global Wellness Summit and Institute to measure the size of the global wellness industry. So, you know, we're economists. If you cannot define something, you cannot measure it. So we have to start with definition. And so that work led into us defining what is wellness. And so we define wellness because nobody really even defined what is wellness. Is it different from health? What is even wellness? Is it just going to a spa or, you know, doing some meditation or drink your kombucha, whatever, right? So we define wellness as the active pursuit of activities, lifestyles, and choices that lead to a holistic health. So you may notice that these are a lot of it. It's sort of related to, these are action things. It's like activities, lifestyle, and choices. So we are focusing on things that people choose to do, how to live their lives, and how they spend their money on, not in curing disease, but by preventing and getting to a highest level of well-being possible. So that is our definition of wellness. And from that, then we looked at the industry that enable consumers to do that. So that's how we came up with these 10 industries that you saw here. And so we identified 10 of them. And when people disagree with me, you know, other consulting firms or other industry consultants or whatever, they're like, why aren't you including this, that, whatever? And I said, well, we have a framework to do it that way. You want to put the pharmaceutical industry in there, go ahead. You know, I'm not stopping you, right? Anybody can do their own thing, but that's how we define it. And because these are the preventive activities that people choose to spend their money on. So as you can see, it's very diverse. We have from physical activities, you know, like fitness and sports, to spa, to real estate, complementary medicine and tourism, and healthy eating, and you know, the self personal care and beauty. So it's a very, very diverse industry, and it's because, as we all know, wellness has rapidly become a dominant lifestyle value in the past 5 to 10 years. It's like a lens that people are now seeing through when they make decisions about, you know, how they live, how to spend their money, right? What they buy, what they eat. So it is very important to know wellness is becoming a dominant lifestyle value that's driving people's behavior. But because things are, sure.
Hey, go ahead.
So I just wanted to say, you know, one of the interesting things was I was lucky enough to be at the first summit where you presented this, right? And it had this great impact, as you said,
right?
because suddenly it was numbers. But what was really interesting you know, and got a lot of people's attention. It got a lot of publicity, obviously. But what was really interesting was not so much the big bubbles like wellness, tourism, or personal care or physical activity, because people sort of were there. But, you know, I remember at that first exposure to it, people around me sort of going, what's workplace wellness? You know, even though you'd said it was sort of worth billions of dollars, there's an awful lot of people, even that worked in the wellness broad industry, were going, what does that mean? And how, you know, really? And sort of, and what's really interesting, of course, is in the last 12 months, things like workplace wellness and wellness real estate have become even bigger issues, right? I mean, so what's really interesting is I'm finding more and more people that I come across in different industries actually not knowing that I know something about this, referring these documents to me as they're getting into stuff and sort of talking about, well, we want your help on how to structure the way our teams work together. And there's this thing called workplace wellness. Maybe you could think about that. And they'll send me a copy of this document, which is really strange to me, right? So well done, you know.
Oh, thank you.
And just to pick up also on a point, Ophelia, it's that, you know, when, especially in consumer healthcare, and I think in every industry, we take security we have like a security blanket of this is our industry. It's defined and it's measured and we work within it and we don't look outside of it. So here in the consumer healthcare industry, we have some great companies like IQVIA and Nicholas Hall who have defined the market and give us the data. And the problem is that's great in getting data for that part of it, but consumers don't see health and wellness in that box. They see it in a much bigger box. And so now that prevention is seen in the IQVIA data and in the Nicholas Hall data to be one of the fastest growing segments. So vitamins, minerals, supplements, nutraceuticals, and a lot of areas around prevention. If we're really going to see the opportunities, we have to look outside of that box. We have to look at other industries that are related to that. We have to look at the world as our individuals, our communities, our consumers see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really good learning to say that when you are looking for opportunities, don't just look at the data that you've been buying for the last 10 years. Look outside as well, and be inspired by other industries and other categories.
Yes, certainly, right? Like your biggest competitor, like you don't even know, it's not even in your industry, right? As we can see in a lot of them.
And it's funny also, your biggest competitor is usually the individual, either doing nothing or doing things which are maybe not as good for them. All right. Mm-hmm. So also, sometimes the competitor is the person because they have they don't do anything about their wellness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So as you see in this bubble, and as Dave said, I mean, these industries, some people are just discovering them. Like, oh, workplace wellness, what? There's wellness real estate. And so it's evolving so rapidly. And so the issue of does mental wellness merit a bubble had come up several years ago. But this is a category that's so sort of defy definition that we were really resisting for several years because, do you include all therapy in it, for example, right? That's like one of the most obvious. And what is considered, medical, because we don't want to include things that are medical. So what are we even talking about? But it is an important issue. So we resisted, but mental health, mental wellness, it's very, very important, even before COVID, because there are, like, globally, according to WHO, about 15% of the people have diagnosed mental illness and substance abuse disorders. 15%. So we're not even talking about the. Let's not even talk about the cost and the treatment of these people. It's enormous suffering. It's a huge burden on society. But it's not only in the mental sense for the people who are suffering, but it also mental illness, poor mental health lead to poor outcomes in health, physical health, in education, in employment, poverty, homelessness, and even crime. So it is an issue where people are, public health systems are looking at it increasingly, with this seriously, but at the same time, the resources are so inadequate, right? And then a lot of us, of course, the whole year of COVID, more people are talking about their stress, their loneliness, and anxiety. So we are the people, these are people who don't have diagnosed mental illness, but they also have mental health and wellness needs, right? So we want to position this research to look at that corner. We're not looking at psychotherapy. We're not looking at antidepressants, because that's in the medical field right now. That's encompassed in the healthcare field. So that's why it's so important that we decided we're gonna add this mental wellness bubble last year.
Right.
So we did this research, but as in every exercise we do when we look at a bubble, the first thing is, we look at how big is the mental wellness sector? Who are the business that is included in it? We have to first define what is mental wellness, and what it is, and understand it a little bit. Otherwise, what are we even talking about again, right? Like other than meditation apps, what are we talking about? So our research is the first time that anyone has tried to answer this question by going from a mental wellness definition to say, what industry categories do we put under this umbrella? And what is our estimate of how big that is? And this is a first study that anybody attempted to do that, because as you can see, it is just pretty crazy to try to do this thing. So let's start with definition. So now there are 25 28 words here, very few words. If you look at mental wellness, a lot of people, you know, WHO, World Health Organization, UN, I mean, there are many organizations, public health organizations will have some sort of definition on mental health. And it will be something that are like this, and there will be a big long paragraph, 100 words, happiness, functioning, and all kinds of things. So we just thought it's when you use so many words, people don't understand what it is. So we read a lot of psychology literature. We talked to lots of people, look at all kinds of research, and we came up with this definition, and which we hope is simple, that is easy to remember. It is mental wellness is an internal resource that help us think, feel, connect, and function. And it is an active process that help us to build resilience, grow, and flourish. So in these 28 words, we put a lot of ideas in there. And it is important, you see, we have think, feel, connect, and function. Because sometimes when you talk about mental wellness, people are so focused on their emotion. That's feeling, right? It's important. But the thinking part is your cognitive function. You know, people are really worried about cognitive decline. You know, those of us who are getting older, feeling it, or the CEO who's trying to function at their highest level, or the online gamers, right? I mean, everybody is trying to be very mentally sharp. And then we have the area of trying to connect with people, relationships, social. And then functioning. Functioning is really important. We call it psychological, but it's really talking about putting all these things together, and you are able to get up in the morning, brush your teeth, take care of your business, take care of your family, take care of your health, right? You like to be able to function. So if you think about mental wellness as a resource that help us to do all these things. Now, the word resource is also very important. We're not talking about my state of mental health. We're talking about a resource, which is a dynamic thing. It's like you can deplete it or you can build it. So it's a concept that's dynamic. So that's very important to know. It's not like, oh, I have poor mental health. Like, no, we're talking about mental wellness as something you can cultivate. Now, so finally, we want to focus on the word like that's this process. It's a process to build resilience, grow, and flourish. Now, resiliency is a word that now we hear a lot about too, because of COVID too. This is a very heavily used word.
Very.
And we need to have a resource to deal with adversity, right? It could be, suddenly you set some illness, family situation, employment situation, right? We need resilience. But it's more than resilience. It's not just coping so we can live. We want to grow and flourish, right? So these are important things because, again, flourishing, it's like we want to be happy, not just happy, but it's like satisfying life. We're flourishing. So we want people to have, in these 28 words, try to grasp that. And then you will see that it's a concept that is very dynamic and is very rich, that encompasses a lot of things. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys want to add anything.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I love finally we have a definition, and that can give us structure, but it also can guide us to the implications. And I love this idea of resource, because it's something that we can add to, or it can be depleted. And that can be done through the individual, or it can be done through communication or different solutions, however you might do it. So again, it's not just given. It's not just given. Got the motorbike outside. There we go. The joys of real life Zooming. But the other thing I'd love to say is there's a huge implication here also. Functioning, yes, on the psychological element, but functioning, the implications on functioning on a physiological dimension, in terms of staying well or returning to health or getting better from a condition, a disease, recovering from an operation, however it may be. There's so much, let's say it's qualitative data out there that shows a positive mindset aids recovery physically. And hence this the implication is definitely there. Dave?
No, I bought into this when I first saw it. I think like you say about resource, I think the other thing is about building resilience and especially flourishing.
Yeah.
And to a couple of the sessions that we did last year about aging populations, this is one of those things that becomes a new sort of realization, I think, in the world of wellness and health, is that as aging populations take hold, we have to remember that people want to flourish continuously. It doesn't matter whether you're 20 or 70. And so this whole thing of achieving some sort of mental wellness that will help you flourish no matter what your age and your physical conditions. And they all come together then to increase life. It's great. Very interesting.
Yeah. No, just building on that, Dave, we are very passionate about aging, not only because we're in that generation, but as we get older, one of the major challenges is mental wellness. And there's a direct correlation between a lack of mental wellness or a lack of mental wellness and decreasing health. So really, some great studies have been done in care homes where shows that the average level of health is significantly increased by increasing the level of mental wellness in the guests in that home. Yeah.
So we just drill down a little bit more on this concept, and there's a lot of stuff in this chart, but the main thing I want to convey is that there is a tendency, when we first started doing the study, when we talked to people, psychologists even, a lot of people will think of mental wellness as be on a straight line spectrum from mental illness. It's like, oh, on one side you're ill, and then on the other side you're well. So it's like, from left to right, illness, wellness. What we have found digging in a lot of more research is that we should think about it as a dual continuum. And so we overlay this with mental wellness as a different axis of going from languishing to flourishing. And so the way to look at this is important is because there are people who have mental illness, and it could be hereditary condition or whatever, chemical, their physical condition or whatever. They can still have a certain degree of moderate to high degree of mental wellness. Because when we're talking about mental wellness as happiness, life satisfaction and relationship and growth, and people can still have that. You can have an anxiety disorder and still have good relationship and be able to learn and create. So it is not like, oh, I'm ill, I can't have this. You can still have higher mental wellness, increase your resource. And on the other hand, the 85% of the people in the world who do not have a diagnosed mental illness or substance abuse issue, most of them are not at the flourishing level. In fact, more people are probably in the languishing category in the lower right corner. As you look at, they're sad, they're worried, they're stressed out, they're unhappy in life, they're lonely, they're debilitated, or they're disengaged. They're just like, lost interest in life. So you can have no mental illness, and you can just be sort of like a apathetic person who just kind of negative and unhappy and all that, right? So that's something you can work on. You can't even blame it on your mental illness. You could still be that. So it is important to kind of look at these two things as different axes, and that everyone has the capability and the potential to move up, and that axis vertically to flourishing. And then also there are also some research that found that people who are at a higher level of flourishing, it can help to prevent and mitigate their diagnosed mental illness. So we're not saying if you have a real disorder, you can just do, meditation and then, do whatever, and then it'll go away. But a lot of those practices to lead you to a higher level of mental wellness will help to mitigate the symptoms of mental illness. So it's really, really important. And then also, talking about flourishing, it is more than just resilient. We're talking about all these things like, again, peak performance. For people, some people, it's like getting to a flow state, right? Like, whoa, they're so creative, so great. And for some people, it could be self-transcendence. It could be spiritual, right? The people in their own mental state that they feel like, you know, they have arrived at a higher level or whatever, right? So it is all very subjective, but people know, everyone knows what that is for them, right? And you can strive for that. So this is I mean, a lot to pack in, but I think there are a lot of important concepts. I don't know if you guys want to comment. No comment?
No, keep going.
Okay. So this slide is, I just put a few words here. Again, the distinguishing the concepts of mental health, mental illness, and mental wellness. Now, mental health is a very strange word, and especially when it's used in North America and in an English-speaking world. And you know, you can say mental wellness is the same as mental health, but the way we use mental health, we're always talking about mental health disorders, mental health problems, mental health. I have poor mental health. It's almost like we're afraid to use the word mental illness, that we use the word mental health and add some adjective to it. So for example, when we talk about mental health professionals, we're talking about psychologists, therapists, and psychiatrists. We will never call a life coach or a meditation teacher a mental health, right? So
Right.
the way we talk about mental health, we're talking about medical people. So when I use the word term here, mental health and mental wellness, we're talking about mental health as a model that is more pathogenic. Like you're looking at the whatever disease manual, and you know, like these symptoms, you have like blah, blah, blah disease. So when we identify, we try to cure you with these protocols. So it is a scientific way, it's very objective. When you look at mental wellness, we're talking about a different approach. It is a salutogenic, which is a word that means more holistic, environmental. And we're talking about something that's subjective, like I'm happy, I'm not happy, I'm flourishing, I'm not flourishing, right? And then we're talking about something that is empowering and shared by all of us, because who doesn't want to be free of suffering? Who doesn't want to be happy, right? I mean, right? So when you talk about how you flourish and kind of get rid of suffering, it is puts you on a kind of on a level of conversation where you don't have to worry too much about stigma. You know, this is not about a diagnosed condition. And then, you know, I kind of put I want to highlight self-care, because in a way you can look at mental wellness as a consumer-driven industry. It's because people have this need to become more well mentally, and they don't want to just go into drugs and therapy, or maybe they already tried that and it's not working well enough for them, and they need something. So it is, in a way, it's a very grassroots driven consumer movement. It's like a cry for help, right? We need all these things. So that's why, you know, it is very much sort of like from a self-care perspective. This is where the industry should.
I think that we've seen big movements towards that, you know, decreasing confidence in doctors. Here in Thailand, doctor is seen as almost a god in the past, and now people are starting to say, okay, he's good, she's good, but also I'm going to look at my health in other ways as well. I'm going to look at meditation, I'm going to look at diet, I'm going to look at lifestyle, however it might be. And it goes back to what I always say to the industry, to my friends, that really, guys, we have to remember that the best medicine that we can offer, it's not our products, it's not our potions, it's not our creams and lotions. It is helping the individual be empowered with tools and techniques and solutions, to be informed with them, you know, around their health, their body, their condition, what they can do, what they can't do, and finally to be inspired. So inform, empower, and inspire, that is the best medicine. And if we can get that, then we have really much better health outcomes. And we've seen, for example, the rise of genotyping services like 23andMe, for example, out of the US, where, you know, we're starting to get millions of people starting to understand their genotypes and what kind of markers they have and what could they do. And it's not just about knowing who your relative is, but it says, you know, what am I prone to? What could I have issues with? It's almost like that sort of preventative thinking. As I get older, what kind of conditions might I expect? So what can I do about it now? So I think this empowerment of self-care is really exciting, because this will, in many ways drive much better health and wellness for people as individuals. Dave, you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say it's sort of an interesting thing, and just Ophelia, I don't know about you, but I actually do know some people who prefer to be negative about everything, right? So not everybody wants to be happy, but for some people,
it is a form of self-help now to be negative about everything and stop trying. And then I want to be mediocre. Yeah,
no,
it is
not necessarily
latest.
stop trying. I mean, yeah, I do come from a culture in Australia where I was brought up to believe that unless you were cynical, you weren't being positive. So, go figure that one out, right? But what I was going to say is it's interesting that in the face of what's happened in the last 12 months, I'm noticing a lot on Facebook and LinkedIn and other social media, a lot of people sort of talking about, hey, wait a minute, you don't have to be ambitious. You don't have to try to succeed. You can just be happy to be happy. That's it. And I think this is part of the times, right? And it's also part of self-care. It's about, well, the world, reality is it's been more difficult the last 12 months to be really ambitious for a lot of people. Just surviving makes you happy at the moment for a lot of people. So I think that the way in which you've sort of talked about this, about the need for self-care, etc., and empowering yourself to be able to do that is really timely, in a way that we maybe wouldn't have thought it in the same way 12 months ago.
Yeah, the stop striving kind of trend. So this is a great segue, because the next slide, I want to show you how we look at the different, what we call the pathways to mental wellness. Now, there are a ton of words here. You look at these things, and all of these things, I mean, and more. There are things that will help us build our mental wellness resource. And you've seen a lot of them, people, exercise, maybe some supplements, sleep, meditation, self-help, hobbies, worship, friends, pets, right? And very often we see these things as a laundry list, and it's kind of hard to process. Like if you're, if you're a consumer, you're an individual, like, oh, it's like such a big laundry list, like, what am I supposed to do? Or if you are maybe in the business of it, like, it's like a laundry list of these things. It's hard to sort of put your mind around it. So we did a lot of thinking when we looked at these things, and we came up with 4 categories that help to think about it. And so there is like an active part, activity and creativity. And as you see, we put them in both sort of internal, mental, and physical, external, because the physical external world, our body and our external world affect our internal. So we kind of have this duality, but they're in 4 categories. Like there's activity and creativity, right? Like you have to keep your body active. If you're completely sedentary, it's going to affect your mental wellness. But at the same time, your mind wants to be stimulated, right? And so, for some people, it's creating music, and some people is watching a movie or listening to music, or or hobbies, or play, or learning a language, right? So these things are all, people find, they could get into a zone doing these things, and it stimulate their mind, and it's an activity, creativity, that help your mental wellness. And then we have a growth and nourishment, what we call growth and nourishment. And on the physical side, there's the diet, nutrition, good diet, and the drug supplement. And on the non-physical side, it's all these sort of, mentoring, coaching, self-help, how to help yourself, like in your mind, that part, growth and nourish yourself. And then after all this, there is a rest and rejuvenation. You need to rest, the body needs to rest. So, if the body doesn't rest, the mind is also no good. So there's the sleep, there are the mind-body practices, right? Like the quiet practices, the yoga, some of and the sensory experience, a lot of them in the spa, the gong bath, the aromatherapy, right? These are all sort of soothing. And then on the mental mind side, you have the meditation, mindfulness, everybody knows about them, right? And finally, there's a category of, like in the world, you are connected. We're not just like some blob of cells. We're here, there's something, we're part of the environment. So So we need to be connected or we're not happy, we're not doing well. So the connection on the outside is, people, family, community, and maybe feeling you have a say in society, civic engagement, volunteering, right? But there's an internal part where, like, am I connected to something bigger? Do I have any belief system? So, compassion, gratitude, these things, right? But people are discovering these practices. A lot of them are related to religious traditions, philosophical traditions, not always religious, but these are all part of mental wellness. So here's a laundry list, but I encourage you to try to think about these things in categories, because there are many things and not everybody is going to do all of these things. And that's why we call them pathways, right? Like, I don't write music. Maybe I read books, right? I like to do this and that. And some people need one thing more than other. So the important thing is these are subjective, right? And there are many, many different things to choose from.
Exactly. And I think this is a really, really key chart for people who, if I'm a marketeer and I have, say, a smoking cessation product, okay, I've got my product, that's great, but then how can I build the resource of mental wellness? Because we know it's difficult to quit a habit like smoking. So how can we add to that resource of mental wellness? And I think this is a great guide to look at the different pathways and then pick and choose what would be the right support that I could offer, whether it would be something that is a meditation app that can be downloaded together with the product, or maybe there's something around diet and nutrition that can help reduce the urges for a cigarette, whatever the case might be. I think it's a great guide. So I would recommend for our marketeers out there, you will get copies of the presentation afterwards. Please use this when you're thinking about the next communication or initiative on how you can help build the resource of mental wellness in people who are being communicated for the products that you are offering.
So,
cool.
So the next one, okay, this one is, I just want to show you, people kind of see it as a Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? But what I want to say is mental wellness is not a luxury in our life, it's a necessity. So do not look at it as a Maslow hierarchy. This is wrong. This is a wrong way to look at it. I just want to show you. It's not like, oh, we got food and shelter and safety, and then we get a job, and then, we eat okay. And then you move on to loftier things like mental wellness. It is a necessity. It's not something you think about at the very end. Like when you already satisfy everything else and retire and you think about it, it's too late. It's probably too late for you.
All the way through.
All the way. It's sort of interesting that when you showed us this chart the other day, Ophelia, it was sort of interesting when I was thinking, because just after, or yesterday, I was reading a report somebody sent me because they're trying to figure out how to make their brand more happy, right? So amongst the background material they'd sent me was one of those global happiness reports that come out about, which country is the most happy and all that sort of thing. And of course, the thing that always throws people when you, especially those of us that come from very, developed first world, whatever you want to define a country, the US, the UK, Australia, stuff. And we always scratch our heads about, wait a minute, how can somebody from, Nepal be happy? Or what's the story? Why is that such a happy country? And you sort of have to think about this, that it's got nothing to do, as you say, with this pyramid. That happiness and being content, for example, which may or may not be relatable to, but they're both positive states, don't necessarily come from the actualization of, physical things, right? It doesn't. It's got nothing to do with wealth factors or success in your job. It can be something that it's a different mindset thing, and I think that's really important.
I think it is. I mean, this is like a little bit like a on the side, not part of the study, but I think when the happiness is being measured and you see happiness sort of declining in a lot of societies, and especially quickly in countries that are developing, getting wealthier, it is, as you said, Dave, it's like when you meet the basic needs, then you have more needs. You create other things you want. And what you want is infinite. And you're always creating more things you want and you're chasing the wrong things. It's the recipe for a disastrous life, right? And so this is, and then, you know, when you don't care about things like relationships, so, you know, in the end, you know, like what do people, right? Like a lot of people before they die, like, oh no, I wish I did not spend so much time on my business, but spend more time with my children. You know? So,
Right.
So a lot of this is like, it's
the
pyramid,
conflicts.
Right?
It is the conflicts. I mean, you and I have both sat through many blue ocean presentations, you know, about the blue oceans theory, blue zones theories, I should
blue
say.
zones,
You know, and how the blue zones, basically one of the commonalities of these very long living populations is friendship and having people that you just hang out with and spending a lot of time with those people and interacting with those people. And we sometimes forget that can be a simple side of just mental wellness. It's just you've got somebody you feel good talking to every day, you know.
So let me move quickly. This one I'm not going to spend so much time on. So one more way to look at it is, sometimes we said, what is the responsibility? What is our responsibility? You know, what if they're like, you know, the circumstance is so bad and I just feel unhappy, I can't cope. So when you think about sort of what is personal and what is, you know, society's responsibility, you can look at mental wellness as these three circles, where in the middle, in the center, it's a micro level. There are individual things, knowledge and skills. There are behaviors, practices, or lifestyle that can help you increase your mental wellness resource. But then there's another level, we call the meso community level. It's your families, your workplace, the school, your local community. They really have influence on your mental wellness because, for example, you work in a place where the culture is toxic. The employer can give you a meditation app. That's not going to do anything for you, right? So, you know, no matter what you do, it's not going to solve the problem. So then there's a macro level. The macro level is really the things like, you know, the pandemic, COVID, the global economy, poverty, you know, it's peace and safety, war. I mean, there are things that happen that we totally have no control. And so, you know, that when there are like massive number of people feeling unhappy, well, that's why, right? So you just have to know, not that, you know, so it's not like everybody people should not be blamed. They should not be blamed for being unhappy. Oh, that's because you have a bad outlook. You do not do meditation. You do not, you know, I mean, there are things we can do. We should know that there are things we can't do, but there are many layers to this. So let's not let governments or employers or communities, you know, completely off the hook. Now, when you look at this and versus business sector, the business and mental wellness, they come in the individual and the meso level, community intermediate level, that, you know, where there are business products, services, or where, you know, business or maybe even as employers can make a difference. So this is sort of another important, you know, an interesting way to look at this.
And just adding in terms of businesses, also to the consumers as well. So, of course, businesses within their organization absolutely can very much shape and support. But we have also a responsibility to our consumers as well, and our partners. And as businesses, in the way we communicate, in what we do, we have a very strong influence in terms of supporting people's mental wellness as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're going to turn to the business of mental wellness, what you've been waiting for. So now we return to this pathway chart. Now look at we added even more words here, because almost every sector of the economy, everywhere you look in your life, all these things actually have an influence on mental wellness, right? Whether they're parks or sidewalks, and whether there's arts and music, you know, in the community, or adult education, you know, all these, like the you know, whether they're you can have access to nature, or all these things affect on mental wellness. But we cannot put them all in the industry, because for example, the fitness industry is in the fitness industry. It's another wellness bubble. You know, even though we know physical movement, exercise will affect your mental health, we're not going to put that into this box. And we're not going to put all the people doing carpentry and knitting and, you know, like, or music and dance. I mean, that's not doesn't belong here. We're not saying it had no impact. And similarly, we're not going to put everything going on in the Vatican, every dollar people donate to the church, that's not mental wellness, even though it's important for your mental wellness, right? Or your civic engagement, your friends and family, your pets. I mean, there's no value, like there's no market, for those things. So we need to put a boundary around it. So we put a boundary around, the growth and nourishment and rest and rejuvenation, these two big categories. And then we further drill down into these 4 industry sectors that we include in our mental wellness industry number. And they are self-improvement, and brain boosting, nutraceutical, and botanical. So those are in the rest and rejuvenation category. And then then the sense, wait a minute, that's not rest. That's the growth and nourishment, sorry. The purple, the growth and nourishment category is the brain boosting. Yeah, it's the nutraceuticals, botanicals, and the self-improvement. And then we have the rest and rejuvenation category. And there's the sense and spaces and sleep, and meditation and mindfulness. And so all of this together is $120 billion market. And when people see this number, the question we often get is, why is meditation and mindfulness so small? Because in your mind, like, mental wellness is meditation. But as I just showed you, it's a whole lot more than meditation. And also, please remember that most people do meditation free. They don't need to have an app. They don't need anything. They don't need anything. There are meditation teachers who teach you for free, and then you just do it yourself. So even when you hear a lot of hype about meditation app and how much, they have not added up to that much money yet. So when you look at it, it's huge. It's still very huge, but that's usually the reaction people get, like, because they think that is so huge. But there are these other things. You want to?
I guess it's that realization. I don't know about your kids in New York, but I know, for example, here in Australia, they started teaching mindfulness to elementary school kids about 8 years ago, as part of the curriculum. And so I think that's one of the things where mindfulness has become this term that we hear all the time, but we forget that a lot of it is it's stuff you've absorbed through the media, whatever, and you sort of just reflect and you do it, and hard to create a real business perhaps in terms of mindfulness for a lot of people, or to think about that. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about senses, space, and sleep, because when I saw this was really outstanding to me, because sleep is such a huge part of physical well-being, and quite often something that an awful lot of people miss out on. And I just was hoping on the next chart that you could talk a little bit more about that, right?
Yeah. Now, so all of these are always very tricky, right? Because senses, space, and sleep is very big, but we did not include the entire mattress market, for example, right?
Right.
We did not include everything that IKEA sells.
So the guy from My Pillow is not in this list.
No, and we do not include like all the IKEA furniture, because IKEA is trying to market itself as a wellness company and all the wellness space, right? So it's also still very tricky, because when you include everything, then it means nothing. So we're not saying that those things don't help, a good mattress or a pillow, but so this is a laundry list of things we include in there, and there are probably other things. But so this is just a quick list, and you can go into our report, and then we will discuss them more in sort of the context of these different products or services. So I want to say that just a very sort of generally, broadly about like this chart, which has lots of words in it. They are really broad and diverse, as you can see. And the boundaries between them are also not always clear or easy to define. Some of them are used in homes. Some of them are in workplaces. And some of them are being pioneered in spa and hospitality and travel arena. And they're techie things, all the apps and stuff. And there are some very basic ones, like books and vitamins and blankets and candles. You can't get more basic than that. And they're passing fads. Adult coloring books is one of them, and stress toys. Some of them are just fads, and then they just, they'll be in the dollar bin in a few months. But some of these have been around for thousands of years, not only meditation, but aromatherapy, sound therapy, lights, and psychoactive plants. Some of them have been around forever. And
Yeah.
some of them are controversial, including some of the psychedelics and cannabis, and
Yeah.
not legal in many parts of the world.
Many markets, yeah.
Yeah.
Ophelia, did you get a sense? I know this is the first number, so this is really exciting because it sets a benchmark. But did you get a sense of dynamic around these areas? Did you get a sense of feeling that some areas were growing fast or were declining? I know it's a very difficult question for an economist to answer because it may be not based on numbers, given that this is only one benchmark. But in terms of a feeling, did you get a sort of an idea what's growing, what's not?
I would say all of these things are growing.
Right.
Early in the pandemic, we see things like even candles and scents growing, and certainly apps, meditation apps. But I mean, just to give you an example, things like circadian lighting, the lighting, human-centric lighting, it's just going to grow dramatically very soon. It's because there's more and more scientific evidence on even, using light as therapy, and then how people try to use that to improve sleep and their moods, right? And so a lot of these things people are starting to incorporate in their homes. Right. So it's going to be increasingly interesting. And then some of them, like some of the ways to do things, or music, or meditation, the gurus, the big media, entertainment industry, they're entering this market, and they're not even from the wellness industry. Netflix, TED Talks, right? I mean, they're now part of mental wellness, and we don't include YouTube in our, right? I don't go and quantify the YouTube, for example, but a lot of them are now, you have many entrants into these markets, right? So it's going to be very interesting. So so the next, this is my the last slide. So I just, the last thing I want to say is that perhaps thanks to COVID, now talking about mental wellness is no longer taboo. Really waking up to the importance of mental wellness, and they want to be resilient and to grow and to flourish. So this is universal, and so this is extending way beyond what we traditionally think of as mental health services, such as just counseling or taking medication or just doing meditation. I mean, this is definitely a growth category. So somebody asked a question about technology, and technology is always a double-edged sword. So there's no doubt, because of technology and all these apps and all these way of streaming content, that mental wellness practices and different modalities have become much more accessible to people when they're at home, when they're alone. And also a lot of people were shy to do these things before, when you have to go to a meditation studio or class. Now they don't, they can do it and experiment, and, don't have to deal with people and kind of experiment themselves. So it's really introducing a lot more people to these modalities, and some of them are free and some of them are pretty low cost. But as we all know, technology is kind of dangerous, and sometimes instead of keep tracking our heart rate and tracking all the stuff, it might be best thing to just put it all down and shut off all the screens for 6 hours, right? So it's something for everybody to manage, from children to from 3-year-old to 90-year-old.
No decision, yeah.
So what you just said, Ophelia, is that if people watching this want to get more mental wellness, they should just shut us off right
now. or listen to it while they're taking a walk or something.
Good idea.
Although
good
I
idea.
try not to listen to things when I walk. I try to just walk.
Yeah. Well, me too.
Yeah.
It's like, to multitasking. I don't like multitasking.
Yeah.
So another point I want to mention is scientific evidence and regulation. A lot of these mental wellness products, practices really need more evidence. Some like meditation and light therapy or circadian science, they're starting to build up a strong body of evidence, even psychedelics. But some are, really do need a lot more evidence and not more research. So there's a lot more money being invested in it right now. So another thing to know is they are also mostly unregulated. So it is up to consumers to determine whether they believe in them or find benefits. And so with so many celebrities and gurus pushing, peddling all kinds of products, it's not easy to figure out what is real and what are pseudoscience and false promises, right? So also now that we have identified the 4 sectors in the mental wellness industry and quantify it, we do not want to promote the message that these are the most important things that you can do. It would be dishonest. Sometimes the best thing to do is basic healthy lifestyle habits, like just eating nutritious food, exercising, getting enough sleep, see your friends. So, you know, they are, some of them, they're definitely business opportunities, but some of them they're totally free. People should not and do not have to spend money when they just want to take a walk, you know, walk their dog or, you know, join a spiritual community. So the very last chart I'm going to end here is, you know, we added the mental wellness bubble back to our mental wellness economy. Here is our 11th bubble.
Very good. Very good. Ophelia, now that we're at the sort of the end, I think it's really exciting, but what would be your 3 takeaways for the consumer healthcare industry? What would be your advice to someone who is marketing and producing consumer healthcare products, given what we've just listened to and heard?
Okay, so it's a little bit of a summary here, but if I have to just boil it down, I would say, first thing, the most important message I want to leave with you is that your own mental wellness is paramount to living a healthy and fulfilled life, your own, for yourself, your family, your colleagues, and your customers. So as a marketing professional in the health and wellness field, you can help your consumers see the different aspects of mental well-being. So it is important to understand it's not just a feeling, an emotion, right? There's the think, feel, connect, and function. To really grasp those concepts will help you help your customers. So, and a second point is, there's no one product that's going to fix mental wellness. So it is not ethical or honest to promote things that are not supported by solid scientific evidence and say, oh, take this magic pill and you're going to be happy. There's no such thing. It's not, you know, nothing would do that. So then the final message is, it is important to promote the message that there are many pathways, and that these pathways are linked to lifestyle practices and values, but they are different for everyone, and people should be free to find their own pathways. For some people, it may be getting away from people and just with their pets and nature, right? Some people, you know, crave social interaction, and some people need to exercise. Some people, you know, need certain food, but everybody can find their own things. And many of the things we can do can be free. But what, as a professional, you know, people marketing products and services, what you can offer may help provide a boost to consumers in that process and in the journey. And so, you know, maybe help them do things better, not as a fix, but help them do it better. And so at least that at least in my opinion, would be the most effective and honest message.
That's great.
Great. Thank you so much.
Really good.
Great. Unfortunately, I don't think we have any time for questions, but definitely questions that were in the Q&A and questions that will come afterwards and even before the webinar, we had some questions. We'll work with Ophelia to answer those questions, and they will then be sent out together with the recording and the slides. So please, as we said, please continue the conversation with us through LinkedIn. There's a lot of things we can do. Ophelia, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a real pleasure. And we have to say, Ophelia, that there will be a link to the report on the slides that you can download the full report and really go into much more detail than we've had time to do here. But really, really excellent, Ophelia, to give us this overview and summary of the key points of this really, I would say, groundbreaking study. This is going to change the world for many people. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
Dave, any last words from you before we pass it on?
Really interesting stuff. No, really interesting stuff. A lot that businesses of all types can take on board, I think. and as we started off, the interweaving between the different elements of wellness. This just helps to bring alive the fact that it's a very multidimensional world of wellness. And no matter what aspect you're specializing in, getting to mental wellness is going to be really important. I really liked it. Thanks very much. And because it's lunchtime here in Sydney, I'm now going to go for a walk down to the park and no sounds, nothing, just let nature absorb me for a little while.
Exactly. And it's like, what time is it in Washington, Ophelia?
Oh, it's 10 o'clock. So
10 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah.
So
I'll get my sleep, the rest and rejuvenation.
Go get that 8 hours sleep. That's what you need. Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay. Great.
Thank you
Fun
so
chatting
much.
with you guys.
We'll pass back to AIM to end the webinar. Sheila.
Yes, Steve. Ophelia,
Hey.
Dave, and Steve, thank you so much for a very fantastic session. And thanks to everyone for joining us. But before we let you go, allow us please to invite you to our next webinar, which is next month, with the topic Healthy Aging, Why the Over 50s Do Need to Supplement. This will be with Dr. McCaughan. He is the founder and managing director at Prime 50. He will be joined with our Dave and Steve again by next month. So again, thank you to everyone. Maraming salamat, and hope to see you in March. And on behalf of the Consumer Healthcare Training Academy, Ophelia, Dave, and Steve, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone.